Hello, everyone. Welcome to LOCKBEARD Random Live, number 90, Vegan Baby Killer. I know we haven't done a random one in a little while, but here we are, because just couldn't let this one go. This woman starved her baby to death on a vegan diet. Anyone who's even thinking about going vegan out there, just don't. You're thinking about doing it to your kid, you're guilty of child abuse. Straight up child abuse. You do not restrict your kid to a vegan diet. Even your breast milk is not adequate if you're eating a vegan diet trying to feed your baby. It's just not. Every bit of just reasonable common sense and science shows this as a fact that humans aren't supposed to eat vegan diet at all. Not even close. But for some reason, there's this moronic movement, this cult of veganism that is slowly destroying a lot of people out there and killing children. And this is just one of those cases where these vegan parents think they're doing the best thing for their kids. And well, let's go through the article. This is Sheila O'Leary. Fort Myers, Florida. A vegan woman convicted of murder in the malnutrition death of her young son was sentenced Monday to life in prison. Sheila, who's 38, whose family followed a strict vegan diet, was convicted in June on 6 charges: first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, aggravated manslaughter, child abuse, and 2 counts of child neglect on the death of Ezra O'Leary. Her sentencing in Lee County, Florida, had previously been postponed 4 times. Her husband, Ryan Patrick O'Leary, remains in jail while awaiting trial on the same charges. Investigators said the couple told them the family ate only raw fruits and vegetables, although the toddler was fed breast milk. The 18-month-old boy weighed 17 pounds and was the size of a 7-month-old baby when he died in September 2019. The Cape Coral couple had 2 other children, ages 3 and 5, who also were malnourished, investigators said. A 4th child had been returned to her biological father during an earlier malnutrition case in Virginia, court records show. So see, they already got in trouble for this, it appears, or at least she did. So somewhere the authorities have failed. If you see the slightest sign that someone is a vegan and they have a child, somebody needs to be putting a microscope on them. This is that criminal. I don't care. Some people might think it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. This baby died. So it is a big deal. Meredith says, hit that like button. Thank you. Hello, Luckbeard. Hello, Meredith. Squatch Talk says it's a mental disorder. Yeah, it is. And what's worse is following the diet itself actually makes it worse. There's been some science done on this where they found that the longer you're on a vegan diet, the more brain shrinkage you get. Like your brain actually starts to atrophy because you're not eating the proper nutrition to maintain a human brain. Meredith says, and everyone in chat, how I was the first to leave 2 messages. It must be my lucky night. Be right back. Dog has to go outside and do her business. And sometimes your dog's got. Actually, I'm gonna play a clip here in a minute. Well, this guy. I don't think the section mentions dogs, but in that video, the guy talks about dogs and how humans are feeding dogs this dog food that is it's got non-meat stuff in it. It's got plants in it and corn and whatnot. And the dogs are getting what they're referring to as human diseases, diabetes and cardiovascular disease and stuff like that. And the dogs are living half as long as a result as well. It's because we're feeding the dogs just the way we're feeding ourselves. We're giving them grains, we're giving them plants, and they're not supposed to eat it, and it makes them sick and it reduces their lifespan. So something to keep in mind. Um, if you can feed your dog just raw meat. Just get your dog raw meat. You know, that's what they're supposed to eat. Um, I know it might be cost prohibitive for some people, but it's just what's best for them. They're a carnivore. That's what they're supposed to eat, just like us. In the case for humans being designed evolutionarily to eat meat, it's ironclad. I'm telling you, you got to listen to me on this. It is ironclad. We're not the big time omnivores that some people claim. We're certainly not vegan design. We're not herbivores. We are obligate hypercarnivores. What that means is we have to eat meat, and we have to eat almost entirely meat. We're even like a polar bear is considered an obligate hypercarnivore, but we're even more into that range than a polar bear, really. Danny says I feed my dog steaks, pisses my roommate off. Hey, you know, you're doing what's best for your dog. You really are. I don't, I think a possible solution for some people, let's say you live in an area that has wild hog. Well, you can shoot those year round. So, maybe once a month you go out and shoot a hog, and that's for your dog. Your dog will love you for it. Squatch Hawk says, I have an 18-year-old dog that has been eating dried dog food her whole life. She's lucky. I mean, there's a lot of cases where that's not the case, but has she come up with any diseases as well? Because I mean, there's always going to be outliers too. Like some people will like drink their whole life and nothing will ever happen to them. They're too stubborn to get cirrhosis or whatever. Some people that smoke their whole life and nothing happens to them. But on average, we know that drinking a lot is bad for you, and smoking is bad for you. It's just that sometimes some people they're resilient enough that they don't get sick. So your dog may be one of those. Danny says, I don't kill animals anymore unless they try to get me first. Yeah. So let me see here. Squatch Hawk says, no disease. Most dog problems happen in pure breed. She's mixed. Yeah, some people have talked about that too. Like because in purebreds, their genetics have been too constrained. So where you might have complex functions relying on multiple genes, multiple alleles, but they don't all end up in that dog like they will be in a dog in a natural breeding population, like in wolves. They're exchanging genes freely with regards to what is the fittest, what is the fittest individuals, because the weak get weeded out, and part of that process allows those complete sets of interacting genes to survive, and the animal is going to be more survivable, in general. To the degree we're talking about hybrid vigor and stuff like that. Anytime humans constrain a genome based on superficial, in some cases, like what we want this dog to look like, it leaves the dog, it leaves the breed open to various types of ailments. So yeah, absolutely. Danny says, I've been smoking everything since 1977. There's that, Mom. Welcome. Danny says, if you can smoke it, I've probably tried it. Really? So, I don't know. I'm not, my channel is not meant to be, all about, not going. I mean, I'm going to talk about carnivore, humans, the carnivore. Some, but there's other channels like the ones I'm going to show you a couple of clips from that they focus on that subject matter. So if you're sick, if you got cancer, if you got heart disease, if you got autoimmune, if you got diabetes, if you got mental illness, if you got gut problems, if you got any kind of health issue, I can't tell you because YouTube's rules. I don't know exactly where I'm crossing the line. I can't tell you that you're going to cure shit, right? I can't tell you that. But anyway, you need to look if you got some of these health issues, like if your doctor's putting you on statins and absolute ridiculous bullshit like that. Statins are absolute ridiculous bullshit. Your doctor is incompetent and should lose his license if he prescribes something like that. GPS signal lost. So anyway, let's we'll look at a couple of clips here. Well,
so the two fermentation fuels that drive the majority, if not all, cancers are a sugar fermentation and an amino acid fermentation. And without the glucose and glutamine, no cancer cell can survive. So our goal is to scientifically validate fermentation mechanism for a glutamine and show how Warburg was right on his original description, but he also did not have new information which would clarify and resolve this entire cancer issue. And we're in the process of doing this right
now. So that's one of a number doc. Actually, that wasn't his channel. He was a guest on that channel there. Here's another clip from him talking about evolved eating, and I'll show you something from the channel the guy was interviewing.
Chronic consumption of excessive carbohydrates can put the body in an imbalanced nutritional state. And that's what elicits. It's not only cancer, it's type 2 diabetes, it's Alzheimer's disease, it's cardiovascular disease. Essentially, it's all of the major chronic diseases that we are currently suffering from is the result of excessive amounts of carbohydrates in the diet. We as a species did not evolve to eat large amounts of carbohydrates. It was only a seasonal kind of situation. A ripe fruit, a ripe berry, or something like this would be the sweet, maybe honey. It wasn't chronic exposure to high levels of carbohydrates that are coming from the foods that we presently have in our societies. And that is ultimately the origin of the majority of chronic diseases that we have is a diet that does not fit our evolutionary past.
Catch up on chat here. Meredith says, before I got this new dog, I used to feed my dogs top sirloin and fresh vegetables and fish and all the good stuff. Now the dog I got from a friend's mom, she's on a special diet, costs a paw and a tail. Angel says, purebreds are bred for looks, not health. Dogs, horses, easy to see. Yeah, humans, nature kind of thinks of everything when the selective pressure's on. Humans don't. They just think about certain specific goals they have. And so there may be some factors that don't get considered when breeding a dog. Like with Chihuahuas, they bred them to be so small, but they didn't breed them to understand that instinctually that they're very small. So they act like they're 3 feet tall. Brian Chewy's here. Welcome. Hello. Meredith says that's horrifying. They should hang her and bring her down to town, throw stones at her until she dies. Well, I'm not gonna say all that, but she killed her baby. So she's got to live with that for life, and she's going to jail for life. She's got life in prison. So hopefully, other vegans take a look at that and think, maybe we need to like watch our P's and Q's. No, maybe you need to look into why vegan diet is not good for you. You know, why is it you need to supplement all the hell? Why is it that you're hungry constantly? Why is it when you look at a vegan YouTube channel, for example, they'll be making smoothies and just constantly eating, and they're just withering away before your eyes. It's because your body's crying out for the proper nutrition. You're not giving it. There are certain nutrients that can only be found in meat, period. And you guys are you're just not getting it. There are certain nutrients that are only found in meat. They're not found in plants. You got to eat meat. You are designed to eat meat. So what where are you getting this vegan bullshit? And they think it's ethically better. Now we could talk about why the ethical argument falls flat on its ass, but that's getting, I don't know if we want to go down that road tonight or not. The environmental thing too. That whole argument, that vegan environmental argument, is bullshit too. It falls flat on your ass if you think logically about it and actually take the time to do it. Because most people just no, right. I know this is true, but no, you don't. You haven't thought it through. You've thought it through from what you want it to be, and you're not willing to listen to the other side of the argument. So it's hard to beat this cult down. Danny says I had high blood sugar and high blood pressure till keto. When I changed my diet, my health has improved greatly. 100% normal. Yeah, I mean that doctor there, like, and I think he's being, the doctor in those 2 clips we just saw. He's being a little. I think he's being a little careful with with what he's saying. He's like, eating excessive amounts of carbs. What he means is you're not eating carbs every day. There's probably, there might be 4, 5, 6 months out of the year that you don't see a carb one, because it's the cold months and fruit hasn't born yet, and there's no fruit. And even if you find fruit in the wild, it's going to be rare. It's not going to be nice big freaking apples you find in the store shelves. They're going to be little fucking things, worms in them that have been picked over by the other animals. And there's only, a tree here and a tree there. There's not a whole orchard. There's no produce section at the store. In other words, you're not going to get a lot of fruit. You're not going to get a lot of fruit. And if you eat too much of it, what do you think's going to happen? Go shit all over yourself. So I think humans, we're smart enough to figure that out back in the day. It's like, look, this is tasty, but we can't eat a lot of it. Why? Because your gut's not really made to handle that. You're not that kind of animal. But ultimately, you don't need fruit at all. You really don't. You don't need any vegetables. You don't need anything from a plant, period. And I'm off and on it all the time. Obviously, I don't stick to it very well. I might take another run at it, because I did like 6 months straight, I think it was. Nothing but animal-based protein and fat. Nothing from a plant. It was it's mostly meat. There would be, like, if I went to a restaurant and had a steak, to get my sides, I'd just go ahead and get a couple of sides of cottage cheese. Well, that's animal fat and protein, so it's kind of, it fits well enough, right? So I was eating dairy, eating eggs, eating meat. And my blood sugar issues were completely gone. I was able to fast for 2 days and work out both those days at the gym and not miss a beat. people at the gym were telling me, "Oh God, you're gonna pass out. You can't do that. You need to eat 5-6 meals a day," and blah blah blah. And I'm like, no, if I'm eating 5-6 meals a day and eating normal foods that everyone eats and eating a bunch of carbs is why I had low blood sugar problems to start with, and I think I had them back when in my early 20s at least, actually, because I remember I fell asleep behind the wheel of a car one time. I woke up when I hit the curb. Luckily, I didn't wreck, but I started to figure out that I couldn't really drive. If I felt like I was getting drowsy, I just learned I need to pull over on the side of the highway and go to sleep. And I didn't realize until years later that I had low blood sugar issues. So I think they went back pretty far there. um, but yeah, I started out keto, Danny. I started out keto, and then I was playing with intermittent fasting, which is where you're just fasting. You're have a 24-hour period. You don't eat for 16 hours of that. Some of that you're sleeping. So you had an 8-hour window in a day, and then you're supposed to whittle it down and get better and better at it and get to the point where you only eat once a day. And then occasionally fast for longer periods of time. It's very good for you to do that. It's just like, because some people, I don't know why they don't understand this. It's like people that overwater a plant, right? They'll kill a plant by overwatering it. You can overfeed something like a human because your system doesn't need to be constantly challenged with shoving just this poisonous food. I mean, one, you're putting too much food, and two, it's poisonous. Most of the shit that people eat is blatantly poisonous. Broccoli, poisonous. It's not healthy. It's not healthy. That's bullshit. They've told you that, and you believe it, and you're not. And half the people listening to this right now are going to dismiss it out of hand, and they're not going to go and dig deeper and figure out that I'm telling you the goddamn truth. Spinach. No, I always believed that. They told me, oh, it's just super healthy food, blah blah blah. No, actually, it's not. It's not fucking healthy. You shouldn't eat it. I mean, if you have a little bit here and there, but like when I was like trying to stick to some pretty, some bodybuilding kind of regime, and I was eating brown rice, chicken, and tons of broccoli. Anyway, it's not good for you. But I eventually got into carnivore after doing some keto and some fasting, and then got to where pretty much now I pretty much, even if I'm not eating keto even, I still typically will eat only once a day, and because I've gotten really adjusted to that, and because I'm not experiencing, I don't think, any malnutrition, because sometimes I eat only meat, and like the other day I had quite a bit of raw fish, and if you eat enough of that, like you sit down and eat enough raw meat, you feel really, really good. And I know a lot of people probably aren't paying attention to that, but you don't want to eat like too much. Like if you're eating sushi, right? You don't want to, or sashimi, you don't want to eat a ton of that rice, or try to get rid of the rice if you can. But then he says, meat's meat and man's got to eat. Yep. Meredith says, I hope they put her in general population. You know how many women in prison down in Florida can't see their own kids? Justice is going to be served. P.S. I'm using talk to text. It messes up words. Yeah. Well, I'm torn about whether or not she should be required to eat nothing but meat for the rest of her life in prison. Does she deserve the health benefits of that? Or is it a good thing for her to see that she'll feel so much better if she eats meat? Nothing but meat. Because the messed up thing is you could eat the same quantity of meat, and then if you add plant foods to it, it'll actually make it harder for you to absorb the nutrition in the meat, and it'll make the nutrition of the meat, it'd be stretched out more because you're having to fight all the poisons and toxins in all the plants. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of natural toxins in every single plant because plants don't want to be eaten. And unless you're an animal that's specifically designed to eat that plant, you shouldn't eat that plant because it's toxic to you. So because it make it taste like. Jen says, welcome to the chat, Jen. She said, my question is, if you choose to be vegan, why are all these plant-based meats on the market? Is it because they actually want meat? Because they make it look and taste like meat? Yeah, that's a question I have too. Why do you if you're not supposed to eat meat? Because according to many of them, humans aren't supposed to eat meat. They think we're not supposed to eat meat. Well, why are you making plants look like meat then? So either they haven't really thought that through because they do have the brain shrinkage caused by vegan diet, scientifically proven brain shrinkage caused by the vegan diet. So the brain isn't functioning right. If your brain's shrinking, you probably are. Your head's probably messed up. Your brain's probably messed up. Your thinking, your ability to think, your sanity is in question. I mean, this woman starved her baby to death for fuck's sake. The other angle it may be is that they think that if they make plant foods seem like meat, they can get meat eaters to eat the plants. Well, no. I mean, I specifically like if someone tries to give me a turkey burger, I'm gonna be like, what the fuck you trying to poison me with here? Give me a real animal. Okay, a turkey's not a real. A turkey's what you eat when you can't fucking hunt, like a real animal. You can't take down a mastodon or some shit. I mean, I know we don't live like that today because we don't have any fucking mastodons, but and there's too many people, and it's so hard, and the government wants to wants you to pay them to let you hunt and do what humans are naturally supposed to do. That's like telling a pelican you can't fish. It's like telling that cow over there making all that noise, you can't graze on the grass unless you pay us a fee. To tell a human you can't hunt unless you pay us a fee, fuck off. That's some Nazi ass shit right there. But yeah, plant-based, it's just ridiculous. Yeah, why are they making it look like meat if they're supposed to eat plants? Angel's here, welcome. Jay's here, welcome. Is mac and cheese and hamburger considered keto? Just asking. I think you know, Jay. I think you know. I don't know what you could do to. What was I using to do keto when it came to? Oh, that's what. All right, sliced mushrooms. Like stir fry some sliced mushrooms in some butter, and then kind of use that as a replacement for noodles. You know, and then that's keto. So you could put Alfredo sauce on that, and then add some meat with it, or you can get away with tomato sauce, like a tomato-based sauce, because most of those are low enough in carb that they can still be keto. Parmesan cheese on that shit. So I mean, you're just replacing pasta noodles with sliced mushrooms, maybe some sliced onions in there. So that, I mean, it's almost like a pasta, right? You slice your onions and then stir fry them a little bit in some butter, and you kind of got a pasta going. You could get spaghetti squash. You bake that. I think you bake it like 45 minutes in the oven. Slice it in half first. Bake it 45 minutes onion, and use a fork, and you can comb out all those strands, and it's kind of like spaghetti. So some people like that. A little bit of carb to that, but it's low enough that you can do keto with that. Cheese, throw a bunch of cheese on there. You know, you could do some stuff, but ideally, for ideal health, you want to get rid of everything that's from a plant. Everything. Just eat meat. And it doesn't have to be nose to tail. Some people insist you're supposed to eat nose to tail. It doesn't have to be. You can actually fuck up trying to do that. Anyway, there's such thing as eating too much liver and stuff like that. The Bat Mom says, I'll pretend my ice cream I just bought is meat and not this yummy goodness that will go straight to my thighs. Well, you gotta keep them thighs fed, right? Danny says, mystery solved. Democrats must all be vegans. Well, that's how they do some of this stuff. They make it into they politicize it. They make it a political issue. You could take something that has nothing to do with Democrats or Republicans, but if MSNBC and CNN tell Democrats, hey, this is the Democrat thing to do, they're not going to put it in those words, but all they really got to say is Republicans don't like this. Democrats will jump, and Republicans do the same thing. If you tell Republicans Democrats don't like something, suddenly half those damn Republicans will be like, oh, I like that. That is how brain dead and cultish these whole two parties are. Not everybody in it, but a lot of people are in it because they're like, well, I'm picking the lesser two evils. I'm here to tell you, you're not winning shit. You're not winning shit. Yeah, the devil gave you demon number 1 and demon number 2 to pick from, and you picked one of those demons. You still got the devil behind the scenes. All those two politicians got to convince you is that they are against the other side. They're all part of the same team. Jen says, we carry vegan meatballs, 6 kinds of vegan burgers, vegan cheese, hot dogs. Makes me shake my head. Yeah, that's ridiculous. If we're not supposed to eat meat, all these vegans need to just sit at home and eat celery sticks like a moron. Celery is not good for you either, by the way. Jay says, I dated a vegan woman once. I like to starve to death cheese. Yeah. Vegan women are absolutely not dateable. They're completely worthless as a woman and as a member of society at all. They're certainly no good for raising children or being mothers of children. They will not be able to cook you a proper meal ever. They are absolutely worthless and should not be considered in any way for anything. I don't believe that it's safe for them to drive a car. Yeah. Run your ass off, Jay. No vegan women. And vegan men, it's worse. Because you got all the bad shit from the vegan diet that affects women, except you also have, you've really extremely, we have a low T problem in our society now as it is. But for vegans, there aren't no vegan men, really. There's vegan women with cocks. That's what there is. Those are not men. They don't eat food that can support testosterone worth of shit. They're not men. So I don't think it's totally inaccurate to say that there's no such thing as a vegan man. All vegans are women. B Lynn's here. Welcome. What'd I say? Did I say something wrong? What'd I say? You don't want them thighs to get all scrawny now. Come on now. Jen says, hey, Bat Mom. Let me see. Let me pull up this tab here. There we go. Hard facts about the carnivore and vegan diets with Dr. Anthony Chaffee. His channel is Anthony Chaffee, MD. I hadn't really paid much because there's so many different carnivore advocates. Like, I think in this video, he does actually mention Sean Baker. That's one that I used to watch a lot of. Um, I can't remember who else he mentions. There's a lot of them now. There's a lot of doctors out there now who have figured it out. For the most part, they're not remotely um, qualified to be nutritionists. But when a doctor does actually take the time to study the subject and do some proper reading of the research, then he figures out that what he believes is healthy for people, what he's been recommending, is probably wrong. But this is a doctor who has figured it out.
What are humans as a species? So animals, all animals in the wild have species-specific nutrition, they have an evolutionary niche that they all evolved to have, and that's going to be their optimal diet, what they evolved on, okay? So you have to think in that context. Now, what are humans? All the big studies, all the best data shows that we actually are carnivores as a species. That's the kind of animal that we are. Now, can we live on other things? Can we survive on them? Yes. Does that mean that that's optimal? No. We came from an herbivorous background. We have some of those traits left over. We have some people that, had, the agricultural revolution and has some defenses, but again, we're talking optimals. What is the optimal nutrition for human beings? Why does this matter? Well, it matters because plants and other sorts of food, well, we call it food, but food is species specific. So the food to a giraffe is different than the food to a gorilla. That's different than the food to a zebra. That's different than the food to, a woolly mammoth and a dolphin and so forth. So you need to eat what your species eats, okay? You can ask any zookeeper, they'll tell you that, if you feed an animal something that, doesn't eat in the wild, something that didn't evolve on, it gets very sick. But what does it get sick with? It gets obesity, heart disease, liver disease, diabetes, cancer, arthritis, autoimmune disorders, okay? Dogs and cats, known carnivores, and yet we give them grain and plant-based kibble. And they get sick. They get the same things. We get the same things. Veterinarians are now calling these human diseases, and they're saying that animals, like pets, household pets, are the amount of human diseases that they're seeing is rapidly increasing. It's gone dramatically up. In the 1970s in America, for instance, the average life expectancy of a golden retriever was 17 years. Now it's 9 years. Okay, that's not from aggressive breeding. It was already a pure breed. Okay, that's from feeding it the wrong thing and it dies young. All right, that's happening to humans as well. What veterinarians are calling human diseases, we actually used to call Western diseases, because we only saw these in Western cultures that had agriculture. These were the diseases of the West. Okay, you can look this up, in history books. It's all over the place, and that's because we didn't see this in native populations, right? So in Native Americans and Native Australians and so forth, these people lived as predominantly pure carnivores. They might know which plants to eat when and if they were starving or to use medicinally, but what they ate when they could get it and predominantly ate was a pure meat diet. This is well documented. You can go back hundreds and hundreds of years and see this, okay? They didn't get the diseases of the West, except when they ate the food of the West. When Native Americans and Native Australians eat a Western diet, they are 4 times as likely to get obesity, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, all the rest, because they didn't have exposure to agricultural revolution like other people did. And so they don't have as many protections. Now, the people that had the agricultural revolution, 8,000 years ago or so, they have some protections, but they still get these diseases. I remember hearing this fact about the being 4 times more likely to get all these diseases when I was a young child. And I remember thinking to myself, well, doesn't that mean that the food is causing the disease? Because if they don't eat the food, they don't get the disease. And we eat the food and we get the disease, just at a lower rate, and what is it that they're eating that we're not? What are we eating that they're not? Well, I didn't know it at the time, but the answer to that is they were eating a pure carnivore diet. They were omitting all these species inappropriate foods.
So yeah, I mean, he obviously I would modify part of what he said about like with the dog breeds, like me and Pat were discussing a while ago. Um, Purebred dogs are more susceptible to disease, but like he was saying with the humans, it depends on what the genetics are, how much of an incidence of the diseases are there. So let me get rid of this here. Now, this is a clip from Professor K. They're talking that this kid, he wrote, and like for school, he had to write an essay. He said it was 50 pages, I think. It's a big freaking essay. And it was, about a subject that of their choice, and he chose to I think it was supposed to be persuasive, so he wrote about the eating carnivore for humans. And this is a short part of that discussion he's having with Professor K here.
It received an interesting response from everyone,
I can
but
imagine.
back to my mom in particular. She read the essay, and she thought it was interesting, and I didn't, and she recognized that my points were valid and couldn't really be debunked, because you can't debunk the species appropriate diet. But even though she read it and agreed with what I said, she still had an issue, looking at it with any merit or doing anything regarding, a meat-based diet, because it just goes so against what she's been taught, and that's a big problem. Doctors and medical professionals, they don't want to admit what they've got wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And mothers even less so, Joey. My mother won't accept a lot of what I have to say. And I'm a professor of health science. And I'm still wrong, because mum knows best on several issues. She's fallen into line over the years on a number of other issues, though, so that's good. Yeah, it's always hard when you're dealing with family members. I didn't know that your mum was actually a nutritionist, so that makes it that much more difficult. Again.
So normally, if you've never watched any Professor Bart K, that clip there is a little misleading about how he normally behaves. he's very he's very, very harsh on people about the subject. And but that kid there, he's on the right track. And so he was in friendly territory. But like recently, Professor K had a debate with this guy that calls himself Vegan Bazooka. And Vegan Bazooka is just an absolute idiot. He was saying he was going to come in there and he was going to defeat Professor K in the debate over the subject. And he did nothing even close. In fact, it wasn't really a proper debate, and he kept on trying to pull this bullshit where, convincing the viewer that Professor K would not have a facts or a data based debate on the subject. He said it several times. Well, what the fuck is a data-based debate? You goddamn! All debates are based on presenting data that supports your argument. You know, this is some kind of tactic he was using, I guess, to make it seem like Professor K would not face him if he was armed with data. Well, that's what a fucking debate is, you goddamn vegan idiot. You're supposed to present your information, your evidence, your data. Where the fuck is your data? You keep on saying it, acting like Professor K would not let you or something. He finally told us, you know, well, actually, at some point, you know, he was referring, they kept talking about this study, that study, blah, 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 meta analyses. And Professor K actually named a couple. You know, the guy, I don't think the guy could actually name any of the studies that he was talking about that he claimed supported, you know, vegan diet. Or actually, he was basically suggesting that people could live on nothing but sweet potatoes and be fine, which is just fucking insane. But you know, the guy was, if you watch it, it's painful to watch, really, because, you know, he kept on saying shit that, you know, he should know from watching Dr. K. There's certain things you don't say. Like if you bring up the word risk, you're gonna you're gonna get an earful. You know, just watch him and you'll see why. This guy was not nowhere near capable of challenging anyone in a debate. Period. He just wasn't. And boy, he thought he was going to. He thought he was going to, but it just didn't happen. Because he was wrong. He was absolutely wrong. Sweet potatoes are absolutely not a natural food for humans. Period. Under any circumstances, they're just not. And he's trying to say that you can live on nothing but sweet potatoes. What kind of retarded bullshit is that? Can't use them to break assailants' necks, huh? Well, I wasn't thinking about their use for breaking assailant necks, but sure. Meredith says, Batmom, love your comment. It's true, I had strong legs in my teens. Hello, I had strong everything when I was a teeny bopper. Batmom says, Meredith, the problem is, how do I get my legs that high to begin with? Kind of joking. I think you're supposed to knock them down first. Meredith says, Batmom, drop kick or a roundhouse kick, better start stretching out that body, or a kick in the good old sack. Yeah. Yeah, this is one of the failures of public education right there is, you know, you take a kid to public school and, you know, they might have them run around the gym a few times. They might have them play some dodgeball, you know, why don't they include a self-defense? You know, you teach a little girl Aikido. I think little boys should be trained too, but in general, I think if you train little boys in that kind of in martial arts and stuff, that they turn out not to be the kind of assholes that are going to be the victims of their victim, you know, their female victim who was trained in Aikido when she was young. But a 12-year-old girl can take a grown man down if she's trained right, and make him regret ever fucking with her. Every one of our children should be like that, though. There's no excuse. Like we have the knowledge. Why is it that we live in a world where we don't have our children trained very well to handle themselves in a situation like that? It just doesn't happen. We'd rather have them play dodgeball. Hell, is dodgeball even allowed now? Is everyone too much of a pussy to be hit by a fucking ball? You know, I mean, how bad is it? Can you paddle kids anymore? Blah blah blah. I mean, shit. See, in a proper world, in my world, the adults could all be passed out drunk. The Chinese could invade, but it wouldn't matter because the kids would kick their ass, and it'd just be a fucking Tuesday afternoon for them. The Chinese would be like, "What the fuck just happened?" We knew it was a holiday in America. All the adults were passed out drunk. How did we not destroy them? The kids weren't drinking. They were wide awake. Did they have weapons? No, they didn't have a weapon one. Then how do we fucking lose? Lockbeard took over the country 3 years ago and trained all the kids to kick some fucking ass. or ordered it. I mean, seriously, we got public school system, and we can't. We should have the ability to fucking do this, but we can't accomplish shit with this damn thing. Our educational standards have, just plummeted in all the subject matter, but we do have a physical education component there, and it has accomplished precisely dick. Why is self-defense not taught in public schools? Why? I mean, you got shit. Mark Dahman says, I know I'm late, but good day to all. Good day, Mark Dahman. Welcome. Danny says, oh my God, I just found out they're coming out with an interview with the Vampire TV show, AMC, this fall. That ship sailed. Are they going to have Tom Cruise? Where's Tom Cruise at? He's usually hanging around in the chat. Tom, you need to get out of Scientology church and get into the chat and tell us if you're going to be in the new interview with a Vampire TV show. Are you going to be Lestat again? Apparently that Scientology is doing something for him, because the dude isn't aging like a normal person. He could probably pull it off. He could be Lestat again. Meredith says, like I keep saying, they should have a setup like a car wash, but you push the buttons on body parts that need to be rejuvenated. I would have hit every button, pain-free when I'm done. Mark says, I'm glad I grew up when I did. There was respect, and behaviors and ethics were so much better than today. Meredith agrees. Tim Boy's here. Welcome. Says, bro, when I first started, I got choked out by 125-pound girls on the regular. When you first started on like martial arts training or keto, were you training the keto? I'm telling you, man, if someone is trained with a keto, it don't matter how big you are, you better not let them get a hold of your thumb. You're fucked. I did a little bit of training in it, but it's pretty powerful. Pretty darn powerful. And since Timmy's here, level out, come on. Angel says, no dodgeball, no kickball, no real PE classes, at least in New York. Half of it is book crap. Yeah. Well, they need to change things. There's a lot of things they need to change. Like, because they're making kids sit down for what, like 50 minutes in a class, and wondering why they're having trouble keeping attention. Well, it's even for adults not like that. They found like you need to break it up into smaller portions. Study for maybe 20 minutes, and then get up, move around, go do something, then come sit down, do another 20 minutes. Shorter durations, because the human mind just isn't. It's just not. You can't sit down for hours and do that shit. Now, by going from class to class, that's something, but that's just a 10-minute, span right there, 5 or 10 minutes, whatever they got. I don't even remember how school was like. Hardly. It's such a vague memory at this point. But they should take the classes down a little shorter. And or maybe split them in half. Say, look, in the middle of the hour, You need to get the kids up and do something physical. Get them out of that chair, give their brain a break for a second, and then they'll be better. It'll work out better. Meredith says, Angel and all my ladies and gentlemen, hello. It's easier than texting every single name with an ouchie rich. Ouchie wrist. Hope those are going well with you. Tim Boy says, BJJ. Not sure what you're saying there, but I'm 48. I started 10 years ago. Talk about embarrassing but awesome. Started what? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Tim Boy says, hey Jen, how you doing? Angel says, kids don't really even get much recess now. Even grade school. It's sad. Yeah. Yeah. There needs to be a different structure, but it's just, they do things the way they do, and they don't want to change stuff, and the standards just keep going down because, some kids can't make the grade, and society doesn't want to admit that it's just a goddamn reality that some people aren't going to be as capable as others. That's just the goddamn truth. And you can't deal with that if you won't admit it. You can't deal with a fact of reality if you won't even admit that it's a issue. Because then you can evaluate these kids a little better. Like, they need to have a better evaluation process. What is this kid actually capable of? What are they going to do well in? What's the best educational approach to take with this kid on a subject by subject basis? Because different tactics may work differently depending on the subject. Some subjects, an individual kid may absorb it just naturally because they have an interest in it. And how they get that interest, that's another thing to look into. How does a person develop an interest in something when another doesn't, that allows them to absorb that subject matter 10 times more easily than the other person? If we can figure out that programming, maybe we can figure out, where we can intervene to get these kids where they're ready to absorb anything. Like, this is just a matter of figuring out the code for a lot of kids. So, but we're just government. You throw money at them, they manage to fuck it up, and they just do a cookie cutter approach. Oh, we'll treat every kid the same. Every kid the same. It'll be fine. But then some of them fall through the cracks, and so over time standards just get more and more lax because that's the only way to get some kids graduated. So they're just not even trying, really. These don't look like it. Jen says, all this carnivore talk is making me realize I've fallen off the keto wagon. Oh no, that's horrible. I did today. I fell off today. I don't know what was going on with me today. Like, normally I eat one meal, but today, I had like a breakfast croissant sandwich, and I had some chips with it. Very bad, very, very bad. And then, but lunch was ground beef patties, so it was carnivore. And then I had a cup of, what was that? Chicken pot pie soup for kind of a dinner, like not very big, just a little. And I had some potato wedges I threw in it, but it's not a big, not really a meal. So I don't know. That was just it was a weird day as far as eating goes. Angel says, Jen, it is making me hungry. Yeah. Well, hopefully you're hungry for some meat. Jen says, as I had a slice of pizza and a scoop of ice cream for dinner, but tomorrow's a new day. Well, the more this subject comes up, then the more likely someone will change. I mean, there's been a couple of people say, look, paid attention and listened, and some shit changed. Um, different people. They were sick, they weren't feeling well, and now they're better because they made some of these dietary changes that we've been talking about here. Even up to getting rid of some of the artificial sweeteners like aspartame, which I'm kind of scared of aspartame now. It seems like, I don't know, I haven't had anything with aspartame in it in a while now, because when I was having it, it kept getting worse and worse. Like, it seems like it's having some kind of cardio issues. It's doing something to my circulation. So I'm afraid to try it now, because the last time I had it, it's like the problems instantly came back, and it was pretty bad. So I'm afraid if I ever do have anything with aspartame in it again, that it's going to be really, really bad. Like, how the fuck do I feel like? How's my head fucking numb? you know, it's scary what my heart acts like. I don't want any part of it anymore. Fuck that shit. But the tall ones, Brent, I guess he was having some issues, and he got rid of aspartame, and it helped that go away. Look up I don't even know where the list of side effects for. I don't remember where I looked up the list of side effects for aspartame. 28 years ago it was at this point. Was it? No, 18 years ago. But it's out there and it's long. Team Boy says Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Lockbeard. Yeah. I mean, some level or a mixture of martial arts, it just should be standard. It should be a standard thing that's taught to our children from the day that they're able to stand up and do this, the very first, most basic stuff, and understand what you're teaching them. You don't. I've talked about arming them with weapons as young as we can get away with. I think we find out that there's gun ranges where kids as young as 5 can go and shoot with their parents. Burglars don't like that shit, right? They don't like a well-armed family with kids that are trained to shoot, because they like to think, well, if I take out the parents, the kids will be easy to deal with. Not necessarily, buddy. And even if the kid isn't armed, if the kid is armed with some training, such as that, you know, most burglar. I mean, look, what's a burglar? He's someone who's looking for an easy buck. He's thinking he's just going to take from somebody else, and the only way he's overcoming you is because he's armed and you're not. At least he hopes so. And this guy is weak and pathetic. He probably doesn't have the fortitude to go and get trained in any kind of martial arts, so he's probably not trained. And he walks into your house, and your kid kicks his fucking ass. And that's the way it should be. It's the way it should be. We have the ability. We have a public education system, and we're not using it for something like this. I don't think the government wants children to be able to defend themselves. I think they're trying to act like they're trying to fix our problems in our society, but they're also trying not to fix the problems, because if all the problems are fixed, it starts to look like we don't really need them anymore. We need government for certain things, but not micromanaging every damn little thing in our lives like they do. But that's what they want, because it gives them power over us. So Jen says, Angel, a good steak is one of life's pleasures. Jen says, started having one carb day a week. Not crazy. Slice of pizza or chocolate. Past week or so, been more than one day. Yeah, if you can control it. Some people can't, because, look, just go to Google and about how, carbs, basically the equivalent of cocaine. It's an addictive substance. You might as well be trying to put down cocaine. So some people are better able than others. Somebody got kind of bent out of shape with me where I was kind of scoffing at the addictive nature of nicotine, because I tried nicotine lozenges for the brain boosting effect, because sometimes I feel like mine's going. I can't remember shit. Sometimes I do, but it's this shit just goes. But anyway, and it seemed to have a little bit of effect, but but if you felt something from it, like a buzz, I guess people call it, whatever the fuck that means. But that got less effective, and then I was just popping them as if they were mints, and they had aspartame in it, so I needed to get rid of them anyway for that reason. But and they costly, and I dropped them, and there wasn't a withdrawal issue at all. So that makes me wonder if the addictive nature of nicotine is very minimal, and the reason why people have trouble putting down something like cigarettes is because of other substances in the cigarettes, like a lot of people have said that the cigarette companies put stuff in there to make it more addictive. That nicotine, and that's what when I looked into it, because I wanted to make sure I didn't want to become addicted to nicotine. I wanted to try it as a nootropic, and it was just not impressive for that. But its addictive nature was also extremely unimpressive, at least for me. So maybe for some other people it might be highly addictive, but for someone to tell me that nicotine is the most addictive substance we know of, I'm going to call bullshit on that, because there was zero addiction issue for me. I just put it down. It was, and that was nicotine lozenges though, so it was just pure nicotine. So you got to ask yourself, if people are so damn addicted to cigarettes, what else is in the fucking cigarettes that we need to be looking at, and how guilty of some kind of crime are the cigarette companies for that action? Jen says, now you know, Lock, just stay away from it. Now you know. Now you know what? Angel says, oh, you mean you talking about the aspartame? Yeah. Angel says, I can tell when I overdo the carbs. I feel like crap when I do. Yeah. There's always a down. And a lot of times, as soon as I start eating them, I'm already, it's just already disappointing. It's nowhere near as good as I thought it was going to be, and it just happens over and over again. I'm like, why the fuck did I get this? This isn't even that good. Jen says, yeah, Angel, I feel tired and not as clear-minded. Yeah. I mean, if you can push through and do months, not just keto though. I mean, really, folks got to try and go strictly carnivore for a while so you can just see what happens. I mean, your energy goes up, you're stronger, it's just everything about what's going on with your gut way, way better. You think more clearly. You can fast with absolute ease. If you're trying to trim down, you'll trim down. With very little effort. Like it'll just happen. It will just happen because that's just the only reason people are overweight is because they're eating carbs for the most part. I mean, I don't think people fully understand because I still hear people talking about calories in, calories out. Complete bullshit. Because they've seen results. They're like I had people say, well, you don't know more about losing weight than a fat woman does. I'm like, why? Because you lose weight and then you gain it all back plus some, and then you lose weight, and then you gain it all back plus some, and then you lose weight, and then you gain it all back plus some, and you're just going up for years, and it keeps going up a little bit more each year. Yes, you lose weight on calorie restriction for a time, but it always fails. And so you think you know how to lose weight because you're able to lose it for that short period of time. You do not. There's a reason why it fails, because when you lower your calories down, your metabolism adjusts to that, and it adjusts to what it's getting. And then so you plateau, right? Your weight loss stops. So then you have to drop your calories down a little bit more, and then your metabolism adjusts again, and you plateau, and weight loss stops. So you have to crank those calories down, and pretty soon you crank your calories down so low you can't live on it, and you're not eating the proper food anyway. Most people aren't, because most people are not eating strictly carnivore. If you were eating strictly carnivore, shit would go a lot easier because you were actually getting proper nutrition. You weren't eating a bunch of anti-nutrients and toxins and the plant foods that are making your need for additional proper fuel to increase. Because you need to eat more food. If you eat just carnivore, you need way less food. I measured this in my case because I was measuring everything. I was weighing everything. I was tracking every last little detail of what I was taking in. The protein shakes, everything was documented. My weight each day, what I was lifting every single exercise, how many reps, how much weight. I was tracking shit obsessively for a little while there when I switched over. When you go to keto, and especially when you go to carnivore, your food needs drop drastically. In my case, it was somewhere between 25 and 33% of what I ate before. Like I was eating a quarter to a third of the food that I used to. And it dropped down drastically because I wasn't hungry. I stopped eating. You give me a plate of bacon, and I can't just eat and eat and eat. You give me pasta, and I'll just eat and eat and eat and eat and eat until I'm about to explode, because the pasta causes unnatural hunger response. Your food does not contain proper nutrition, so your body's crying out, okay, this is great, but where's the stuff I can use? Because I can't use this. So imagine, because I was looking up what is the average, like USDA numbers. I think it was like 500-600 pounds a year that your average person eats. So that's every man, woman, and child. Average. So I don't know what an average for, if that's average, less than half the nation's, men like myself. I don't remember the exact number, 600 pounds, maybe about right, of food. And, what I figured once I went carnivore, what I was eating daily was about a pound of fatty meat. It was about a pound. And occasionally I was doing a 2-day fast. So, that's an easy calculation, right? 365 days a year, 365 pounds of meat a year. About as much meat as you'll get from, roughly 6 deer if you ate nothing but deer. But 365 pounds, and the average for people, in America is 600. So, it's hard to say what that amounts to when because I don't know what the average is for just men, but it's going to be more than 600. But if those men are representative of my case, 365 times 3, 900,000 pounds. Let's say 1,000 pounds. It might be 1,000 pounds for some men. I don't know. But, this isn't really good hard science or anything, but it's just my experiences is drastically lowered appetite. I didn't need the food. Fatty red meat, especially, and the more rare or even raw it is, the better. But people just can't. They won't listen. They immediately dismiss this when they hear it. They immediately dismiss it, and they won't go look into it themselves. I guess they prefer to remain ignorant. I don't know. If you're going to dismiss it, fine, whatever. Just go back, believe what you want. I'm just telling you, humans are designed to hunt the biggest, fattiest, red-meated animals in the land, which most are gone now. But at least we can replace that with beef. Fatty steaks, fatty red meat. And every bit of science you look into supports this. All of it. I mean, unless it's something where someone got bought off. And there's been some cases that you start looking into it where the science has been falsified. And some governments involved. There is a conspiracy here. Conspiracy to make you sick. And to keep you sick, and to keep you weak, and you keep your brain less functional than it should be. They're trying to poison you. Timmy Boy says, there's no doubt that martial arts builds character, seen it firsthand. Yeah. Yeah. Can you imagine? You show up to preschool in Lockbeard's world. The first thing you do is some martial arts training. Every single child. Jen says about how aspartame affects you so you can avoid it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't want any part of that shit anymore. It's scary. I feel like there's no blood going to my head or some shit. I don't know. It's fucking weird. Squatching Cowboy's here. He says, howdy, y'all. Welcome, Squatching Cowboy. So, on to the next. I think this is the last one. This is kind of funny. I don't watch Water's World, but he's interviewing this vegan woman here, who you can just see the fucking crazy, man. She fucking like, well, I mean, she says she's trying to be vegan. So she's still, before I started, she's still eating cheese, which cheese is fermented, cow's milk. It's animal fats and protein, and it's also fermented. Now, there's something, it's decomposed, right? Because, I haven't really mentioned that tonight about how humans, like our stomach acid is like a scavenger. Like we're designed to be able to eat aged meat, okay? Because we were stealing kills, and we would steal the kills of other animals, so what we were eating was a little bit old. It wasn't fresh, or not that fresh. Or we would have a kill, and we were killing these gigantic animals. So it ain't like you're going to eat the whole damn animal that night. You're going to be camped out around it for, perhaps a couple of weeks, eating on that meat. So eating aged meat. And we became designed, capable of eating aged meat. That's why we hang our cows like 30 days or more. They hang the carcasses and age it. So the microbes work on it. It's kind of fermented in a way. So that's why cheese is so, we'll say, because these people that try to be, they're trying to avoid eating animals, but they'll still eat, they'll still drink milk, they'll still eat cheese, and they'll still eat eggs. They actually say those things are what saved those people's ass. But they would be better off if they ate, the real thing. But cheese, like this lady says she eats in this clip, is what is probably the only reason she's functioning as well as she is on this clip. Yeah, Sean is having a show tonight. We are going to be done before then. So let's look at this. Let me zoom in a little bit.
Meat creates toxic masculinity, according to a university professor. Eating meat is bad for you, it's bad for the country, and it reinforces gender stereotypes, apparently. But it tastes so good. Joining me now, Dr. Alessio Parson. Okay, doctor. Why is eating meat bad, really?
Well, we have to back up because you, I think at the beginning, just said eating meat creates toxic masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
The toxic masculinity is already there.
It's already there. Does eating meat make toxic masculinity worse?
It's one of the ways in which it can reinforce existing kind of social structures, including patriarchy.
Well, how does that reinforce social structure?
So what the hell's wrong with patriarchy? What's the problem with that? Humans are a sexually dimorphic species. Each gender is designed to perform certain functions. And in a natural setting, yes, the males are the leaders of tribes. Telling humans that patriarchy is bad is like going to the chicken coop and telling the rooster that you're not on top of this game out here. You're not running the show here. That's ridiculous. Humans are like chickens. The chickens are sexually dimorphic. The roosters are made with those bigger spurs, more aggressive, stronger, to fight. And they lead the flock. Now, females have their pecking order as well, and humans are just the same way. But this ridiculously crazy chick here, trying to talk about patriarchy as if it's a bad thing, it's just stupid. It's just ridiculously stupid. Of course, humans are patriarchal typically, because that's what we're biologically designed to be. To say that that's bad, she might as well tell women, oh well, it's bad for women to only women to give birth. Well, you're totally denying the basic biological design of humans. You crazy woman. You're insane. So you got to ask, why would a woman have a problem with patriarchy unless she has some kind of dissatisfaction, some kind of mental issue that she's having, and I think this is being taught, this is being brainwashed into girls from a young age, utilizing in part our public school system to make them dissatisfied with being a woman for some reason, to make them think that there's something less about being. Well, there's nothing less about being a woman. Just because women aren't the ones that do the leading typically in a human society doesn't mean a woman is less than anything. Leaders serve. The leaders serve. They're serving a purpose. It needs to be done. And but to think that someone's less because they're not the leader, that's ridiculous. That's the messed up thinking that's going on here. The leader is serving a purpose just like everyone else does. So already she's got some fucked up logic here where she's equating patriarchy as something bad. There's nothing bad or good about patriarchy other than it's good for humans because that's part of humans biologically driven or instinctual, genetically programmed behavioral design. So that's already she's her ability to logic is just completely gone, and she's ridiculous.
Where men dominate eating meat.
Yeah, it's really complicated.
We'll break it down
How long
for
we said we had 4 or 5 minutes, right?
Just keep it simple. How does eating meat make the genders unequal?
Eating meat holds a lot of symbolism, and it really is too much to explain in 4 minutes. But it has to do with the fact that our individual level decisions, the things we decide to do as individuals, what we consume, what we put on our bodies, the things we buy and put in our households, are fundamentally political acts.
Okay.
Right? The personal is political.
Okay. So I'm having a steak right now because I'm starving.
I hear you. I wish I could have half of that, but this doesn't look vegan, and I'm trying to be vegan.
You're a vegan?
It's really hard because I don't know if I told you I'm from Wisconsin.
Okay.
And cheese was like one of my favorite things.
See how that looks pretty good. It's a little rare, medium rare.
Yeah.
Is
got
this
some nice dead cow hanging on your fork?
Is this bad that I'm eating meat?
If you go hunting, that's a totally different story, right? The blood's on your hands. Right now, you're kind of just enjoying the benefit and the blood's on someone else's hands. And that's not very fair.
What if they want to hunt meat, or what if they want to raise cattle?
Oh, totally. But the idea of killing and taking a life, that we should really deeply consider what that means for us as human beings. People have said you should judge a society by how it treats their animals.
What the hell is she's even talking about right now? What do you mean, what does that mean for us as human beings? We're obligate hyper carnivores. Anyone that isn't fucking blind or won't look at the science or can see. You can see that everything about us is designed to be a hunter. She's sitting here trying to say it's bad to be a hunter now. This is part of our basic biological design as well. Everything about us is designed for this. These vegans all try and say shit, well, where's your canines? That's not the evolutionary path that we took. Our teeth became reduced because we weren't using our canines for something like that. Actually, if you look at the great apes, the primates, chimpanzees have huge canines, but they only eat meat, 4% of their diet. The gorillas have even bigger canines, and they eat zero meat. because they're not using those big canines for that. Primates don't use canines like that. And humans, the canines became reduced as we became very carnivorous and changed the way we behave. We could talk about why we don't need the canines for the threat display and all that shit anymore. But the point is we weren't using canines to kill anything from the very beginning. We were using our tools, our coordinated attacks. We were thinking. Our brains were getting bigger. We were thinking our way to getting food. We were stealing some in the beginning, carcasses that from other predators, but we figured out how to make spears and started flint knapping, making traps. We learned fishing. This stuff has been going on for millions of years, and it's part of our genetic design. And we are hunters. Plain and simple, we are hunters. And she's sitting here trying to act like we're taking a life as if our prey is a human or something. No, you ridiculously moronic wannabe vegan. No, these animals are our food, and we're supposed to hunt. And for you to demonize the act of hunting is so ridiculous. How the hell does our society allow this kind of insane person with these ridiculous ideas to be a professor? It's just amazing.
Animals, and it'd be great if we had universal health care for our animals.
Universal health care for animals, that could be expensive.
We can afford it.
What the fuck is that? And also she's talking about how we treat our animals. We treat our animals very fucking well for the most part. In fact, we get mad if someone mistreats animals. No one wants the animals mistreated. We just want to eat. And so we're trying to be as humane as we can about how we go about it. So she's talking out her ass. What is she going to do next? She can go tell lions that they can't kill food to eat, because lion's a predator too, but they do it in a different way, and it's nowhere near as quick as the way we do it now. We are the most humane predator on the planet, probably. So it's just like,
really, because we're $20 trillion in debt.
I got some money.
Do you care more about
shut the look at her? She's goddamn crazy.
people or animals?
I care about our world. And I think in order for us to achieve a more sustainable future, particularly regarding what's happening with climate change, we need to figure out how the 7.6 billion of us on this planet.
I don't think I'm going to let that shit go. Climate change can be shown pretty quick if you take the time to look that it's bullshit. Man-made global warming is bullshit. So shut up about that. And you talk about sustainability. Our entire biome, our entire ecosystem is based on this animal eats grass. This animal eats the animal that eats grass. And it's one big goddamn circle. We're a part of that circle. It is natural for an animal to hunt. And we are an animal that hunts. What the fuck ridiculous point do you think you're making right now, you crazy woman? So no, she's talking about a sustainable future. Sustainable is what's natural, and what's natural is for animals to hunt. If you killed all the animals that hunt, if you stopped all the hunting, what would happen? Well, the prey species would not have the weak weeded out. Their genetics would grow weaker, and the entire ecosystem would fall apart. Because they would overgraze, their population wouldn't be kept in check, and there's so many things going on there. And she's just thrown all out of the window because I don't know who the fuck she thinks she is. She thinks that hunters shouldn't hunt because that's sustainable somehow. No, it's not sustainable somehow. They talk about how the animals are bad for the environment, that the cows are bad for the environment too. What do you think? There weren't grazing animals for all of time? They're part of the ecosystem. It's just that y'all don't like that humans are ranching cattle. And you are morons for that.
Can be good neighbors. And we're really bad at being good neighbors right now.
Okay, so like, why should I be a good neighbor to a squirrel?
Well, you don't have to worry about, if you don't want to worry too much about the squirrel right now. The squirrel's part of nature, right? If you keep killing nature, what's going to happen to us, right? If we as people keep killing nature. Me too, right? Like, I still eat cheese a lot.
It's not like something that's going to be perfect. We're never going to be.
What the fuck are you talking about if we kill nature? We are part of nature. It is part of nature for a lion to kill its prey, and it is the same for us. You're talking about like we're destroying all of nature because we're hunters and we're ranching. Because ranching's more efficient than hunting, right? Ranching, when you can kill the animals more humanely when you hunt, because sometimes you don't get a good shot on the hunted animal. So it's even better to be ranching from that perspective. But she's saying we're killing nature. We're not killing nature. In fact, anytime there's an animal that we like to hunt nowadays, because of the way we manage things, it ensures the survival of large, managed, and healthy populations of those animals, because we don't want them to run out. You know, this is conservation. Maybe she's heard of it.
Be perfect at it.
But what if you're just hungry and the animals are there for us to enjoy, for dinner, for lunch,
God said so.
breakfast?
Did God tell you?
I mean, why would they taste so good?
What the fuck does that got to do with anything, you crazy bitch? Seriously, what the fuck does that? What kind of point you trying to make there? You trying to point out, are you an atheist or something? And you're one of those atheists that think you got to make these little funny, little. I mean, you know, I can still consider myself an atheist, but I'm not going to say something ridiculous like that to someone. I'm going to point you. I'm going to call you out on this shit. Did God tell you that? Fuck. No, you don't. Science tells you that you need to eat meat. You stupid, crazy, psychotic bitch.
We weren't supposed to eat them.
Sugar tastes good.
Yeah, I eat sugar too.
Obesity, diabetes.
Well, I have some sugar, but
I mean, you clearly have.
I don't just pour sugar down my
You
throat.
clearly have some things around like who you are that protect you, and like especially a lot of, I think, financial resources to like do things like buy really expensive steaks.
Okay.
So that's also part of the problem, is that some people are really taking up more than their fair share of, you know.
And now the communist comes out. She's a fucking communist. She's just a crazy. Look at her, crazy fuck communist. This is an absolutely sickening individual right here.
So
Like,
the rich people are stealing all the steak from the poor people.
surplus value.
Okay, well, you know what?
you know what?
I'm gonna go take this steak and I'm gonna go give it to a homeless guy out on 6th Avenue.
Go for it. You were saying you needed books
Doctor,
for Christmas.
Thank you very much. I will take your book and I will take a bite of the steak.
And this is the book I'm reading.
Delicious.
Yeah, I don't want to read your books, you crazy bitch. How much you want to bet he didn't read those books? Fucking insane. What a fucking nut. Looney Tunes, yeah, that's Looney Tunes right there. Danny Boy says, I hate stupid people. I really, really hate them. Yeah, let her go real keto, like real vegan. Like, she's eating cheese now, so she's not really being a vegan. If she does, that brain shrinkage, she won't be able to be a professor anymore. And as skinny as she is already, she'll be withered away. She'll be withered away. She'll be wishing she had Bat Mom's thighs, but she could never have them. Much Cowboy says, "Hey Mark, how are you?" And that's with some fishing with the grandson and family catch-up. Awesome, man. Yeah. Spending time with the grandkids. Troy says psychobabble. Yeah, she couldn't really. She was trying so hard to think of some excuse for her position on the matter. So eating meat is misogynist. It's patriarchy. It's privilege, like rich people privilege. It's holy shit. She's fucking nuts. Fucking nuts. Welcome, Troy, by the way. Cowboy says she wants that ribeye. She might want Waters ribeye. Did I say that? Tim Boy says, right, Troy. Cowboy says she's probably going to have sex with Jesse and eat the ribeyes after the show. Oh, shit. I guess she beat me to that. Mark says, when she said, I'm trying to be vegan, it's hard because I'm from Wisconsin. What the goodness does that got to do with anything? Yeah, absolutely nothing. She's just making excuses for her inability to actually be vegan. She wants to preach this meat is misogyny bullshit, but she can't actually live the lifestyle she's talking about if she's trying to be vegan. I wonder if she's ever been really vegan, you know, and how long do you have to do it before you're actually vegan? But Uncle Bones is here. Welcome. He says, Jesus, I got no alert. What the fuck? Hey, Lockbeard. What's up, Uncle Bones? See you later, Mark. Great video earlier. It's a cowboy. Cowboy says, now if I can get everyone to watch it. Troy says, what about the feelings of vegetables? Yeah. Well, I would say, you know, the dozens and dozens of toxins that harm humans in all vegetables, all of them, they all have toxins to humans. Look it up. Just look it up. They all have carcinogens. They all have. Plants are always because plants can't run away. They can't, you know, they can't run away. So they gotta typically try to poison you. Now cactuses, you see what they try to do. They just try to, you know, they grow enough thorns and probably nothing will eat me, right? But most plants aren't like that. Most plants are using toxins and so that's the game, right? It's chemical warfare. Uncle Bone says, Cowboy, if I had a wrench, I'd put your link. Where's Mr. Lee? I don't know where Mr. Lee is at. I don't know. Let me see. Try not to let this sound come on this. Boom. Oh, come on, load up. I'm clearly pushing the limits of the signal here. Yeah, I don't know where Mr. Lee's at. Jen says, wait, did she say if you kill the animal, then it's different? Now it's not okay? Yeah, I don't know what the hell she don't have a real point. I don't know. Like, so if because that's what she said. He's like, well, if you do it yourself, that's different than if you're. No, what the hell are you saying, woman? You're crazy. She's fucking nuts, man. That's the only thing I figure. She's eating so little meat that she's already gone nuts. See if anybody notices that. Might as well do that. Y'all figure it out here in a little bit. Where's it at? find something. Of course, YouTube isn't making things easy. Let's see. Team Boy says you too, Uncle Bones. Trying to pull this up. Mr. Lee says, Lockbeard, I missed everything, man. Well, you did, and freaking Tom Cruise. Like, I was trying to get Tom Cruise to speak up, but he ain't here either. Scratch Cowboy says, you missed everything, Mr. Lee. Just woke up. Now he shows up, Uncle Bone says. Yep, now he shows up. Let's see here. I'm trying to get this to come up, but boom. That is a new video on Squatching Cowboy channel. Description says, I have no clue what a Bigfoot bone looks like. Do you? People ask me all the time if Bigfoot was real. How come we haven't found any bones? It's got some music credit there. Some people commenting. See what old Donald Fuller had to say. He says, I found bones of several different animals, but I will tell you one strange thing I came across as a young feller. I live next to Arrowhead Mountain between Georgia and Milton, Vermont. On the other side of the mountain from where I live, there is a meadow that the farmer used for grazing cattle years ago. In the middle of the meadow was a little ditch with a large flat stone across it. This particular day, I found a very large amount of cinnamon-colored hair that was mostly about 6 inches long. It was of no animal I know of in Vermont, not one piece of skin or bone or internal organs. It's like whatever it was shed all of its hair on this rock. I have no clue what it was from. You know, I would kind of wonder if maybe something got killed and a lot of its hair was pulled out on that rock by the predator that took it down. His ears were burning, yeah. Mr. Lee's ears burning. Mr. Lee said, it says you've been going for 87 minutes. What the fuck? Yeah. Peyote is a hell of a drug, says Little Kilroy. Welcome, Little Kilroy. Welcome, Mr. Lee. Uncle Bone says, thanks, Lockbeard. Yeah, I might as well make another wrench. Might as well. Squatch Cowboy says, yes, Mr. Lee. Oh, you're welcome, Squatch Cowboy. Mr. Lee says, hello to everyone in the chat. Pine Island Research says, the Impossible Whopper is being discontinued for a reason. It sucked. Welcome to the chat, Pine Island. Jen says, hi, Mr. Lee. Yeah, that's why I made Uncle Bones a rant, because he was saying he wanted to put the link up since you weren't here, Mr. Lee. And so either one of y'all can do it if you want. See, how long's this video? Premiered 3 hours ago. It's 8 minutes. So everybody go over there. Actually, you'll have time because I'm going to quit at 10 till. You'll have time to go over to Squatching Cowboy and watch this 8-minute video. And then I'm sure we'll see a lot of you guys over at Something to Sasquatch About in 14 minutes. And he'll be on. Let me get this back to Bigfoot Bones is no BS search for Bigfoot. There's a Squatching Cowboy. It says subscribe, damn it. It's going to have you reach real slow and hit that subscribe button. Chessboard's here. He says, hello, Lockbeard and everybody else. Welcome. Chessboard, we're getting ready to quit, though. Squatching Cowboy, Mr. Joe Pass. That's his link there. So we're gonna quit here in a minute, and then in a couple minutes here, and then you guys can go watch that, and then Something to Sasquatch About will be on the hour in 13 minutes. Bigfoot Bones. Haven't even watched it yet. I will though, man. All right. Oh, you're welcome, Squatch Cowboy. So, yeah, everybody, let's go over there and watch that. And then I'll see y'all, hopefully most of y'all over at Something to Sasquatch About. Let me see if I can, hold on a second here. Looks like he's interviewing Todd Prescott, or is that I guess that's what that means. It says Todd Prescott, the Sasquatch Archives investigator for BFRO. So that's over at Something to Sasquatch About in about 11 minutes. So thank you guys for coming, and I'll see you next time.
Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because subscribing makes you feel good.